that guy putting the tape on that day at the assembly line, oh boy, you may want to drug test that guy. He is not doing well. What's going on, guys, and welcome to today's video. And today we are finally doing something with the TRX. And we're going to be doing something that I've wanted to do since day one, or that's bothered me since day one on this thing. Now, if you saw from the title, we are fixing my paint, or fixing my two-tone paint. I'm not really sure what the title is actually going to be, but we are going to be fixing the fact that TRXs, you are stuck with two-tone paint unless you get black, and then it's just all black. But for whatever reason, you've always been forced to get the lower section black, and I don't really know why. It would be considerably less effort for Ram to just paint the darn thing one color and not have to mask off the lower section or the upper section and paint another color. But for whatever reason, you are forced to have two-tone. So, great, fine and dandy. You know, there's no option to not do two-tone. Some guys are paint matching, whatever. What I'd like to do, or what I've always wanted to do, is have at least the black match. Now, what I'm talking about is all of the metal and plastic on the trucks. You know, we've got the metal bumpers, we've got the plastic fender flares, we've got the black wheels, if you have the base or standard wheel, and then we've got a random gloss black lower two-tone paint section. Nowhere else on this truck is gloss black. So why did they choose to do gloss black down there? I have no idea. Did they have a whole bunch of extra black paint that they needed to get rid of, so they just forced it on all of the TRX guys? Maybe so. So what we're going to be doing today is fixing that lower gloss black section. This truck is going to go over to my buddies who does paint protection film. He does detailing and stuff also. But what we're going to be doing is basically just wrapping the lower section of the truck, wherever it is gloss black, with satin or matte paint protection film. So it's still a clear paint protection film, but it's got a matte or satin finish on it, so it's going to dull down that bright gloss black and turn it basically matching our fender flares, our bumper, our wheels, all that kind of stuff. So it's going to look like it should have looked from the factory, even though they didn't ever do that and you were just stuck with random gloss on the truck. So, since he's a good buddy of mine, I'm going to tear this thing down and get it ready for him to work on. The side steps are kind of in the way if you're actually wanting to do a good job and roll the material all the way down to the pinch weld. We've got little trim pieces down low at the bottom that are, again, kind of in the way. And then out back, we've got the rear bumper that is kind of in the way if you're actually wanting the material to go all around that lower two-tone section. So I'm going to bring it to him with bumper off, side steps off, the little trim pieces. I'm going to leave the fender flares because those are not fun to remove and you end up breaking a lot of clips. So unfortunately, I'm just going to have him cut and trim around the fender flares, but it's going to look really fine, and I'm going to be totally fine with it. And like I said, I've wanted to do this since day one, so this is going to be a cheap, easy way, or maybe not cheap, but an easy way to make your truck look a little bit better. So guys, like I said, we've got our kind of satin wheels, we've got our kind of matte fender flares that match the front bumper. Everything works really well. Even up here, we've got, you know, our window trim and our moldings here. Everything is just very matte or satin until we look down here at some random gloss paint. So gloss paint on all of our lower rockers. Again, not even matching our, you know, side steps, which match the plastic trim. It just, what a weird thing to have gloss black. And then back here, we of course have the little section that tucks behind the rear bumper. So we're not only just going to make the darn thing look better since it actually matches, but we're actually going to be protecting the paint from, you know, rock chips, stuff like that as you're driving down the road or bombing off-road. So we're going to be killing two birds with one stone here and improving looks and helping with paint protection. So let's get this thing over in the other garage. Let's tear this thing down and then we will get it dropped off over at the buddies. And we should have this thing looking a little bit better finally after owning it since 2021, but you know, better late than never. All right, guys, so here is as stripped as I'm unfortunately going to be able to get this thing for my buddy. So let me talk you through what we've got pulled off. Obviously, we've got the rear bumper pulled off. There are a couple of 16 millimeter nuts here and here, and then there is a hidden 15 millimeter bolt that goes through the center of the bumper. Now, mine was a pain because I had some auxiliary lighting, shifts and grins, rear auxiliary backup lighting combo set up here that is one of my probably favorite mods on the truck. So I had a little extra wiring that I had zip tied to the factory bumper harness that made it a little bit more of a pain in the butt. But now that I've got the bumper off, I'm going to be able to get this all kind of routed even nicer than what it was. You know, I had it all zip tied up with the factory harness. Now we're going to be able to clean that up and make it look nicer. These little trim pieces are super easy to remove. A couple of 8 millimeters that are in your wheel well area, and then just 3 little clips that you can squeeze each side just like that. I used a pair of needle nose just to grip and squeeze to get those off, and those are super easy to get to up under the rear bed section of the truck. Moving forward, side steps, obviously easy to remove, just a couple of 13 millimeter nuts, but unfortunately, these guys on the front and the rear are not going to be able to come off nicely. That little piece I was hoping to pull off for him, and that little piece so he could roll the film underneath the panel and have it look even nicer. But that one and that one have hidden clips. There's nowhere you can get in behind that panel and grab, and normally those clips are gonna break. So unfortunately, that and our front one are gonna have to stay on. He's just gonna have a cut line, and it's not gonna be a big deal at all. But I was just trying to have it as pain-free for him to do as possible. Now, one other thing, I pulled out all of my rubber body plugs, so he's gonna be able to just roll that film down the panel and have it all the way there. I am gonna let him know I'm going to put those plugs back in, so he'll probably have to cut the material so I can just put all of those plugs back in. But other than that, we have got this thing, other than it being filthy dirty, ready for him. Again, all of this was just to make his work a little bit nicer and a little bit smoother. Again, he's able to just roll the film all the way down to the pinch weld there and it not have a bunch of crap in the way. We don't have side steps, and we've at least gotten a little bit of trim out of the way. And again, with that rear bumper on, there would have been absolutely no way to access this. And now, no, you wouldn't really need to do this, but this thing's getting absolutely beaten on with dirt and stuff flinging up off the tires, even with my little splash guards here. So I'm gonna feel a little bit better that this whole section has paint protection film on there, and it will look better if you happen to look kind of behind that back bumper. Now, one thing I thought was pretty funny, TRX quality here. Here is our kind of wobbly tape line. Not too bad, right? We're coming off that quarter panel there, or the bedside, and we're going behind the bumper. Great, looks fine and dandy. Let's go over to the other side. Oh dear, oh my goodness. This guy, maybe this was on a Friday when the guy was putting the tape on this side. We are nice and straight, and then he just fell off the world. My goodness gracious. That looks ridiculous. Yeah, now again, this is completely hidden behind the rear bumper, so you're never going to see that, and I've obviously never seen that until I pulled the bumper, but goodness gracious, you couldn't have the same guy put the tape on the other side. It had to be a completely different guy that was drinking on his lunch break, because that guy was drunk. That guy, he was doing all right, may have had a hangover from the night before, but he was pretty much all there. That guy putting the tape on that day at the assembly line, oh boy, you may want to drug test that guy. He is not doing well. So I'm gonna get this thing over to the buddies, and he's gonna do his work. It's gonna have to sit overnight so it can make sure all the edges lay down and everything sticks where it needs to stick. And then I'm gonna be able to put everything back on and have my truck look a teeny bit different than every other white TRX running around on the road, since my lower gloss black is now going to be matte, satiny colored to match everything else on the truck, like Ram should have just done from the beginning. Or better yet, Ram, just give us a no-cost option to not have black on the lower rockers. Why are you just doing more work for yourself for nothing? I have no idea, but that's what we're stuck with, so we're trying to make the best of it and make it look a little bit better. All right, guys, we just got the truck back from the good buddy who does paint protection, detailing, all of that stuff. So I thought I would show you what I've finally gotten done that I've wanted to do since I bought the dumb thing in 2021. So hopefully you guys can see here what we've got going on. So now our gloss black section here is nice and matte black. Now we are kind of out here in the harsh sun and shadows, but you can see now, instead of just being gloss black, again, this contrast looks a lot more aggressive here with the sun, but up here is kind of what it actually looks like with the now matte lower section that very nicely blends with the factory fender flares, the front bumper, just kind of how the darn thing should have looked from the factory. Now he does really good work. We've got those done. We've got the rockers wrapped underneath, and we are wrapped all the way up into the door jamb area. So everywhere that it was gloss is now matte, and I am super excited to have this thing looking how I kind of always wanted the darn thing to look. We've got all of this section. We've got our little quarter panel bedside pieces here. And then I did pull the rear bumper off so we could actually get back there, even though this is never going to actually have anything going on since the bumper is going to cover that. But we've got the lower section here, and then he did part and piece the rest of that together. Again, this will never be seen, but he went ahead and threw some film on there since I pulled the bumper off. So that was my vision. And I know other guys have done it. I'm not trying to claim I'm the first guy here, but I just wanted to do this forever and am excited I finally have it all done. So guys, I've got a lot of work to do because I've got side steps to put back on, a rear bumper to put back on, our little trim pieces to put back on to get this thing all the way back together. But I was too excited and I didn't want to wait to put all that on and it be dark. So here's how the thing looks, and I'm excited. So if you were wanting to A, protect the paint on your vehicle, and again, this is just the lower section, and B, have the look a little bit different than every other TRX running around out there, now you've got a relatively inexpensive solution to do both of those things. You aren't doing a full vehicle wrap. You're not wrapping, thousands and thousands of dollars to do a full vehicle. You're just doing some lower, relatively easier sections. So again, not a crazy, outrageous mod. We're not doing something crazy. I'm just excited for changing up the look a little bit on my personal truck. So every other white truck running around the Wichita area will be gloss black and mine will be matte black. So guys, hopefully that gives you an idea on your personal truck to change the look a little bit and make it look a little more unique. And guys, thanks for coming out into the garage and now into the street with me and finally doing something new with the TRX. And guys, as always, thanks for watching and we'll catch you guys next time.